Captain Thomas Gray stood on the bridge of the HMS Valor, a ship that had seen better days. The ship's old hull creaked, but it still carried the weight of countless battles. Gray's eyes scanned the endless expanse of space, a space now teeming with the threat of the Drakkar invasion. His fingers drummed restlessly on the control panel as he waited for something, anything, to change the course of their dire situation. The hologram of Lieutenant Commander Hannah Mitchell flickered into view. "Tom, we found it. The Ghost Fleet exists, and we need you," she said, her voice urgent. Gray's heart pounded. He had heard the stories of the legendary Ghost Fleet, a collection of advanced ships equipped with AI, hidden away for humanity's darkest hour. He had always dismissed them as myths, but Hannah's earnest eyes left no room for doubt. He quickly assembled his crew, a diverse group of misfits and war veterans. Sergeant Marcus, Sarge Bennett, a grizzled Marine with more scars than he cared to count, grunted in agreement. Dr. Evelyn Carter, the eccentric yet brilliant scientist, adjusted her glasses and nodded. Lieutenant David Andrews, a young pilot with a chip on his shoulder, smirked, clearly ready for action. "All right, people," Gray said, his voice steady. "We have a mission. We're going to find that fleet and bring it back to save us all." The HMS Valor departed the scrapyard, evading Drakkar patrols with stealth and precision. Gray's hands moved deftly over the controls, his mind racing with the possibilities and risks of their mission. The ship's ancient systems groaned under the strain, but they held together, just like the crew. They arrived at the coordinates provided by Hannah, a desolate sector of space that seemed to be nothing but a graveyard of lost ships. The nebula around them churned with unsteady energy, casting eerie shadows on the remnants of forgotten vessels. "There," Dr. Carter pointed out, her eyes widening behind her glasses. "That's the battle station Eclipse." The battle station loomed large, dark, and silent, a relic of an era long past. As they docked, the crew could feel the weight of history pressing down on them. Inside, the station was cold and lifeless, but it still carried the grandeur of its original design. As they ventured deeper, lights flickered on, guiding their path. Suddenly, an artificial voice echoed through the corridors. "Welcome, Captain Gray. We've been expecting you." The AI Archon greeted them. Gray stiffened, his mind reeling. "How could you know we were coming?" Archon's holographic form materialized before them. "You carry the DNA of Admiral John Gray, the original commander. You are his descendant and the only one who can activate the fleet." Gray exchanged a look with his crew, their faces reflecting a mixture of awe and skepticism. Dr. Carter immediately began interfacing with the AI, her fingers flying over the controls as she attempted to access the fleet's systems. Without warning, alarms blared. Drakkar scouts had detected their presence and were closing in fast. The crew scrambled, preparing for an imminent attack. Gray's mind raced as he issued orders, his voice calm and authoritative. "Sarge, get those defenses online. Andrews, ready the ship for immediate departure. Carter, I need that fleet active now." The HMS Valor's weapons fired up, and the battle station's ancient cannons roared to life. The Drakkar scouts swarmed, their sleek, deadly ships outnumbering Gray's battered vessel. Yet the crew fought with determination, their movements precise and coordinated. Dr. Carter's voice cut through the chaos. "I've found something. The activation sequence is embedded in your DNA, Captain. We need you in the control room, now." Gray sprinted through the corridors, his heart pounding. He reached the control room, placing his hand on the scanner. The system hummed to life, lights flickering on as the Ghost Fleet began to awaken from its long slumber. The battle station's defenses bolstered, driving back the Drakkar scouts. For a moment, hope flickered in the hearts of the crew. But their relief was short-lived as the main Drakkar fleet appeared on the horizon, an ominous shadow against the stars. Gray's voice was steady as he addressed his crew. "We're not done yet. We have the fleet, now we need to fight." The HMS Valor and the newly awakened Ghost Fleet prepared for the oncoming battle. The crew steeled themselves, knowing the stakes were higher than ever. Captain Thomas Gray moved swiftly through the corridors of the Eclipse battle station, his mind racing. They had discovered the legendary Ghost Fleet, but the Drakkarn were closing in fast. The ancient AI Archon guided them through the complex maze of the station, its voice calm and precise. "Captain Gray, we must activate the defense systems immediately," Archon urged. Gray nodded, his focus sharp. "Sarge, take point and secure the perimeter. Dr. Carter, get to the control room and start the activation sequence. Andrews, you're with me." Sergeant Bennett gripped his weapon tightly, his eyes scanning for any threats. "Understood, Captain," he growled, moving with the practiced ease of a seasoned soldier. Dr. Carter adjusted her glasses, her fingers already dancing over her portable terminal. "I'll need a few minutes to bypass the security protocols," she said, her voice steady despite the urgency. As they reached the control room, the enormity of their task hit Gray. The room was filled with consoles and holographic displays, all dormant for decades. He glanced at Carter, who was already hard at work. "Archon, bring up the system diagnostics," she commanded. The AI complied, and the room was soon illuminated by a myriad of data streams. Meanwhile, outside the battle station, the HMS Valor braced for the oncoming assault. The Drakkarn ships were fast and deadly, their sleek forms cutting through the void like knives. Lieutenant Andrews monitored the tactical display, his jaw set in determination. "Captain, the Drakkarn are deploying boarding pods," Andrews reported. Gray's mind raced. "We can't let them take the station. Hold them off as long as you can." Andrews nodded, his hands moving quickly over the controls. The Valor's turrets blazed to life, intercepting the incoming pods with precise bursts of laser fire. But the Drakkarn were relentless, and a few pods managed to breach the station's outer defenses. Inside the control room, Carter let out a triumphant cry. "I've got it! The activation sequence is ready, but we need your DNA to finalize it, Captain." Gray stepped forward, placing his hand on the biometric scanner. The system hummed to life, and the dormant fleet began to awaken. Ships that had been silent for years now powered up, their systems coming online with a vengeance. Outside, the Ghost Fleet's awakening was a sight to behold. Ships that had once been thought lost or destroyed now joined the battle, their advanced technology quickly turning the tide. The Drakkarn found themselves outmatched, their sleek ships no match for the raw power and strategy of the revived fleet. As the tide of battle shifted, a Drakkarn cruiser managed to breach the station's defenses, disgorging a squad of heavily armed warriors. They moved through the corridors with deadly precision, heading straight for the control room. Gray and his team prepared for the worst. "Sarge, hold them off. We need more time," Gray ordered, his voice firm. Bennett nodded, taking a defensive position at the entrance. "You got it, Captain. They'll have to go through me first." The ensuing firefight was brutal. Sarge's experience and determination kept the Drakkarn at bay, but it was a fierce battle. Meanwhile, Carter and Archon worked furiously to bring more of the fleet online. "Captain, more ships are coming online. We're pushing the Drakkarn back," Carter reported, her eyes shining with determination. Gray felt a surge of hope. They were making progress, but the battle was far from over. The Drakkarn were relentless, and their numbers seemed endless. Yet, with each ship that came online, their chances improved. Suddenly, a loud explosion rocked the station. A Drakkarn boarding party had breached a critical section of the station. Gray's heart sank as he realized they were running out of time. "Archon, can we seal off that section?" Gray asked, his mind racing with possibilities. The AI responded swiftly. "Yes, but it will isolate part of the station, including the power core." Gray made a quick decision. "Do it. We can't let them reach the core." The AI executed the command, and heavy blast doors slammed shut, sealing off the breached section. The Drakkarn were cut off, but the station's power was now limited. They had to finish the activation sequence before the backup systems failed. As the last of the Ghost Fleet powered up, the battle station shuddered from another impact. Gray knew they had to act fast. He turned to his team, his resolve clear. "We're almost there. Let's finish this," he said, his voice steady. With a final push, Carter completed the sequence, and the Ghost fleet sprang to full operational status. The battle station's defenses roared to life, and the Drakkarn ships were swiftly repelled. Gray allowed himself a brief moment of relief. They had done it. The Ghost fleet was active, and they had a fighting chance. But the battle was not yet won. The Drakkarn would regroup, and they would be back. Captain Thomas Gray stood at the center of the Eclipse control room, the newly activated Ghost fleet visible through the large viewport. The ships, ancient yet powerful, floated silently in space, their systems coming online one by one. The crew was exhausted, but the victory had given them a renewed sense of purpose. "Dr. Carter, what's the status of the fleet?" Gray asked, his eyes never leaving the sight of the awakening vessels. Dr. Evelyn Carter scanned the data on her console, her fingers moving quickly. "The fleet is fully operational, Captain. We've managed to reactivate 70% of the ships. The remaining systems are coming online, but it will take some time." Gray nodded, appreciating her efforts. "Good work, everyone. But we can't rest yet. The Drakkarn will regroup and come back stronger. We need to be ready." Sergeant Marcus, Sarge Bennett, still nursing a minor injury from the recent battle, approached Gray. "Captain, we need to secure the battle station. The Drakkarn might try another boarding attempt." Gray agreed. "Sarge, take a team and reinforce all entry points. Andrews, see if you can improve our sensor range. We need to know if they're coming." Lieutenant David Andrews, ever eager to prove himself, saluted sharply. "On it, Captain." He headed to the sensor array, determination clear on his face. As the crew dispersed to their tasks, Gray felt a moment of pride. They had been through a lot, but their resolve was unshaken. The battle station hummed with the energy of renewed life, systems that had lain dormant for decades now active and ready for use. "Archon, I need a tactical overview of the surrounding area," Gray instructed the AI. Archon's holographic form materialized, displaying a detailed map. "Captain, our immediate vicinity is clear, but long-range sensors indicate Drakkarn movement at the edge of the sector. We have limited time before they return in force." Gray studied the map, noting the enemy's strategic positions. "We need to use this time wisely. Let's run drills and make sure the fleet is ready for combat. We'll show the Drakkarn that humanity is far from defeated." As the crew trained and fortified their defenses, Gray took a moment to reflect. His ancestor, Admiral John Gray, had designed this fleet for humanity's darkest hour. Now, it was up to him to ensure it fulfilled its purpose. The responsibility weighed heavily on him, but he knew he couldn't afford to falter. Hours passed as the battle station buzzed with activity. Dr. Carter's expertise brought more ships online, and Sarge's team fortified the station's defenses. Andrews' sensor upgrades provided early warning capabilities, a crucial advantage against the enemy's stealth tactics. Suddenly, the sensors pinged. "Captain, multiple Drakkarn ships incoming," Andrews reported, his voice tense. Gray's mind raced. "All hands prepare for battle. Carter, I need those ships ready. Sarge, get your team to the main entrance. We can't let them board." The crews sprang into action. The Ghost fleet, now fully operational, moved into defensive formations. The HMS Valor took point, its weapons systems primed and ready. Gray watched as the Drakkarn ships approached, sleek and deadly. "Archon, activate the battle station's primary weapons. We're going to need every advantage we can get," Gray ordered. The AI complied, and the Eclipse's main cannons powered up, casting an eerie glow throughout the station. The first wave of Drakkarn ships engaged, and the battle commenced. Lasers and plasma bolts filled the void, creating a deadly dance of light and destruction. Gray directed the fleet with precision, his tactical acumen honed by years of experience. The Ghost fleet's advanced technology gave them an edge, but the Drakkarn were relentless. Their ships darted through the battlefield, exploiting any weakness they could find. Sarge's voice crackled over the calm. "Captain, we've got boarders trying to breach the main entrance. We're holding them off, but we could use some backup." Gray grimaced. "Hang in there, Sarge. I'm sending reinforcements. He turned to Andrews. Get a team to support Sarge. We can't let them take the station. Andrews nodded and sprinted off, rallying a group of Marines. The battle raged on, each side fighting with all they had. Gray could feel the strain, the weight of command pressing down on him. But he knew they had to prevail. Humanity's future depended on it. Dr. Carter's voice broke through the din. Captain, I've got an idea. We can overload the battle station's core and use it as a massive EMP. It could disable the Drakkarn ships, giving us the upper hand. Gray considered the plan. It was risky, but they were running out of options. Do it, Carter. We'll cover you. The crew worked feverishly, preparing the core for the overload. The Drakkarn intensified their assault, sensing the change in tactics. Gray's orders were clear and concise, his leadership a beacon in the chaos. Finally, Carter signaled. It's ready, Captain. Gray took a deep breath. All ships prepare for the EMP. On my mark. The seconds stretched into eternity. Then, with a command, the battle station's core unleashed a massive electromagnetic pulse. The Drakkarn ships flickered and went dark, their systems temporarily disabled. Now, hit them with everything we've got! Gray shouted. The Ghost Fleet unleashed a barrage of firepower, decimating the immobilized Drakkarn vessels. The tide had turned, and the enemy was retreating. As the last of the Drakkarn ships vanished from the sensors, a cheer went up among the crew. They had faced the enemy and emerged victorious. But Gray knew this was just one battle in a larger war. They had to stay vigilant, for the Drakkarn would be back. Captain Thomas Gray stood at the helm of the Eclipse, his gaze fixed on the tactical display. The Ghost Fleet, fully operational, formed a defensive perimeter around the battle station. The recent victory had bolstered their spirits, but the looming threat of the Drakkarn's return kept everyone on edge. Captain, long-range sensors are picking up Drakkarn ships massing at the edge of the sector, reported Lieutenant David Andrews, his voice steady but tense. Gray took a deep breath, steeling himself for the inevitable confrontation. We knew they'd be back. Dr. Carter, how's the power core holding up after the EMP blast? Dr. Evelyn Carter glanced up from her console, her expression a mix of exhaustion and determination. The core is stable, but we can't afford another overload like that. We'll have to rely on conventional tactics this time. Sergeant Marcus Bennett, standing by the main entrance, tightened his grip on his rifle. We'll be ready for them, Captain. We've fortified all entry points. They won't catch us off guard again. Gray nodded, appreciating the sergeant's unwavering resolve. Good. Andrews, keep an eye on those sensors. We need as much warning as possible. As the crew prepared for the impending battle, Gray reflected on their journey. They had come a long way from the scrapyard, each member of the crew proving their worth time and again. The Ghost Fleet, once a legend, was now their greatest asset. But the Drakkarn were a relentless foe, and this would be their toughest fight yet. The comms crackled to life. Captain, the Drakkarn fleet is on the move. Estimated time to engagement, 15 minutes, Andrews reported. Gray's mind raced through their options. Archon, I need a detailed analysis of their formation and potential weaknesses. The AI's holographic form materialized, displaying a three-dimensional map of the approaching fleet. Captain, the Drakkarn have concentrated their forces around several key battleships. If we can disrupt their command structure, we might be able to scatter their fleet. Gray studied the map, formulating a plan. We'll divide our forces. The HMS Valor and a squadron of ghost ships will target their command ships. The rest of the fleet will hold the line and protect the battle station. He turned to his crew, their faces reflecting a mix of determination and fear. This is it. We hold nothing back. Our survival depends on breaking their formation and driving them back. As the Drakkarn fleet closed in, the Ghost fleet moved into position. The first shots were fired, brilliant beams of energy slicing through the darkness of space. The HMS Valor led the charge, its weapons blazing. The battle was fierce, the void filled with the sounds of explosions and the streaks of laser fire. Gray directed his fleet with precision, exploiting every weakness Archon identified. The Drakkarn fought back with ferocity, their ships darting through the battlefield with deadly intent. Sarge and his team repelled several boarding attempts, their defensive positions holding strong. Dr. Carter managed the power systems, ensuring the battle station's defenses remained operational despite the strain. "Captain, we've isolated their command ships," Andrews reported. "They're vulnerable." Gray seized the opportunity. "All units, concentrate fire on those ships. Break their command and scatter their forces." The Ghost Fleet unleashed a devastating barrage, targeting the key Drakkarn vessels. One by one, the enemy's command ships were disabled or destroyed, their formations beginning to falter. The Drakkarn fleet, now leaderless and disorganized, started to retreat. As the last of the Drakkarn ships disappeared from the sensors, a cheer erupted among the crew. They had done it. The Ghost Fleet had not only held its ground but had driven back a superior force. Gray allowed himself a moment of relief. "Excellent work, everyone. We've shown the Drakkarn that we're not to be underestimated." He looked around at his crew, each of them having proven their courage and skill. They had faced an overwhelming enemy and emerged victorious. But Gray knew that the war was far from over. The Drakkarn would regroup and return, stronger than before. "Archon, begin repairs and resupply. We need to be ready for the next assault," Gray ordered. As the crew began their work, Gray stepped away from the control panel, reflecting on their journey. They had faced incredible odds and come together as a team. The Ghost Fleet, a symbol of humanity's resilience, was now their best hope for survival.